Health lore says that every 7 years, our bodies regenerate entirely new sets of cells.
Days after a mushroom cloud of murder rose over my Canal Street dorm room,
The question still remains,
I went back to live there for 8 months while the cloud settled.
how did we get here?
10 years later, on the eve of the anniversary, I'm reminded of the survivors I saw when I walked out of my dorm room.
Sometimes I'd like to forget.
Dusted over them in hysteria,
The impossible became possible.
there's no dust now.
A decade after September 11th, we are a new world 1.5 times over.
We've wasted 10 years
10 years later,
trying to grind torture into flour,
the question still remains.
war into justice.
But I remember vividly the day the world forever changed.
I often envision failed missions in which hijackers sit in hell twiddling nubs of thumbs, some catapulted out of cockpits onto split open kidneys and spleens as every Al-Qaeda ever drowns in pools of feces and chlorine. Oh, what does that to me?
I am forever at the memorial service of a girl I loved who died too young.
At the time, I never saw so many funny bones broken.
We all speak the language of hearts,
Clown noses lost their reddish tint.
sinking like dead elevators in the aquarium of our chests.
I know a country that believes that irrigating Muslim faces will make safety blossom in the fatherland.
The way skin can be peeled like an apple.
In this famine season, both girl and nation brandish blades with blood-stained hands.
How blood bites the white of a fresh wound.
Through this ritual, trauma is revisited.
These are the miracles that haunt me.
Never forget, says the tagline on all the ads and posters, as if it were like misplacing our keys. To demand that a New Yorker never forget is like demanding a black person never forget slavery, a Jewish person never forget about the Holocaust.
And I always thought we never discussed the anger.
I never understood how the murder of Osama bin Laden could alleviate horror and symbolize vengeance. Violence
Which begat the city of American flags,
begets violence,
which begat the war on terror.
begets violence.
And I wonder, when will tragedy be left alone to bury itself in the corners of our minds, not dug up every year as a subject of sample cells?
Stop me if you haven't heard this one. So Osama and the Taliban bring the towers down and hundreds are killed. Some 10 years later, President Obama brings the house down at the correspondence dinner and kills.
We felt the world quiver, open our vulnerabilities by the simplicity of a violent few that cut us so deep that we are willing to shed everything that we pride ourselves in.
We live and breathe with this as if embedded in our DNA.
Why didn't we discuss the anger before it came to this, before we etched our insecurity into law?
Tonight, I just want to show you my city. How despite the broken, or maybe even because of it, it still shines. How when you look out at it, you can still feel the rip-roar of wonderful ziplining down your chest when you remember how it felt to be caught in the flash downpour of love.
Today, her children/citizens wear her permanent scars. Tagline should never be, never forget. Better yet, what have we learned?